Good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining our March 2024 OC HMS user meeting. Please enter your name and your agency into the chat box so that we can take attendance. Our team will be covering the following topics in this meeting: system performance measure, a new field, multi-select, HMS client contact information, CS enrollment and referral. We'll provide an overview of adding households to the bed reservation community queue, as well as managing household composition changes in CS. And there's an update regarding the HMS user account form, a notice regarding recertification deadline, a refresher on status and annual assessments, project performance, and sharing some resources and training. We'll also have some time for Q&A for topics covered in this meeting, and then we'll stay online for office hours for general HMS functionality questions. System performance measure. HUD requires COCs to measure their performance as a system on an annual basis. The project types included in this report is safe haven, street outreach, emergency shelter, transitional housing, parent housing, which include PSH, rapid rehousing, and other PH projects. The reporting period is October 1st, 2022 to September 30th, 2023. Our COC has already submitted our SMP this past month, February, and the SMP year-over-year report comparison is also available on our website, as well as this fiscal year submission report. Thank you, Diana, for submitting the link into the chat. Please feel free to take a deeper dive of the report. We will provide a brief overview of the report, but the link Diana added into the chat is the full report that you can feel free to review. The system performance measure looks at the following measures. Measure 1, length of time person remains homeless. Measure 2, returns to homelessness. Measure 3, numbers of homeless person. Measure 4, looking at changes in income. Measure 5, looking at those who become homeless for the first time in that reporting period. And measure 7, successful housing placement. The following chart shows our comparison to state and the nation measures for the SMP. Orange County is performing better than the state average in 5 out of 7 measures. And regarding the nation's measures, we are performing better than the nation average in 4 out of 7 measures. As you can see to the chart, the green checkbox are the measures that we are performing better on average. This is measure 1, the length of person remains homeless. The length of stay has gradually increased for clients in emergency shelter and transitional projects. And you can see we're reporting comparison from 2019 all the way to 2023. Sorry, a correction is that the participants are staying in emergency shelter and transitional housing longer. Their stay has been increasing gradually each year. We wanted to highlight this measure. Clients returning to homeless after placement in PH housing continues to increase, and most of the returns are clients who are exiting from emergency shelter. You can see from the chart, it is including the key for each project type. So orange is street outreach, the light gray is emergency shelter, the green is transitional housing, and the purple is rapid rehousing, parent supportive housing, and other parent housing. The dashed line is the rate of return from after exiting. Orange County COC funded joint transitional housing and rapid rehousing, parent supportive housing, and rapid rehousing projects are more effective at increasing a client's income before exit than other COC across the state and nation. You'll see Orange County is the orange bar, and the navy dash line is comparing to the United States, and the red dash is comparing to California. The proportion of clients being served for the first time has declined slightly in the past 5 years. There was a significant decrease in the first-time homeless clients in fiscal year 2020. So you'll see the orange bar would show those participants who are homeless for the first time, and the dash is the percentage of clients served in our system. Again, the report is available and published on our website, so please do feel free to take the time to do a deeper dive. If you have any questions or would like to further discuss the measures, please feel free to submit a HMS help desk and we can further discuss. Thank you. Diana?
Good morning, everyone. We have a new field setting that allows for multiple selections from a pick list. This functionality is currently in the fields such as gender, federally recognized tribe, race and ethnicity, and coordinated entry event categories. This new setting can be applied to custom fields where pick lists may need additional selections, as you can see on the right-hand side. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen really quickly so I can show you how this looks on our side. So let me go ahead and share my screen. Please bear with me. Okay, so what we're looking at right here is this is on the training website. So this is all fictitious information and is not information from any client that's live in HMIS. So my family group is currently enrolled in a homeless prevention project. So under the assessments, I created an assessment so that you can easily see sort of what this multi-select looks like. So let me go ahead and start my assessment. So in this case, does the client need help with utilities? Yes. And then what that's going to do is it's going to allow you to select multiple options. So for example, if my client needs help with water and electric, it will allow me to select both. If my client needs help with all utilities, then it will have all selected. But it does allow you to sort of modulate between different answers. And this is really helpful when you have multiple sort of services like this that you would like to have the client be able to select more than one sort of toggle, which is what we used to do previously. So as you can see, it allows you to have both selections there as an option. Let me go ahead and stop sharing and hand things back over to Elizabeth.
Thank you, Diana. And we wanted to know for agency admins, when you're setting up your project, this new field function is available. So please do indicate on the forum if you need those custom fields to be set up with multi-select. And we can work with you to have that set up and have you review and ensure it's functioning the way you would like for your project setup. Michaela?
Good morning, everyone. We have the client contact information. So please ensure that all participants have updated and accurate contact information in HMIS. If the participant does not have contact information, the current case manager or alternate contact information should be added. Sharing contact information in HMIS helps coordinate services and communication across all HMIS participating agencies. In addition, it can help streamline the shelter and housing intake process. For more information about managing contact information in HMIS, please review Saving Client Contact Information, the knowledge base article, and view the Updating Client Contact Information video. And then we do have a screenshot of updating the contact information over to the right.
Thank you, Michaela. And for our participant, please keep an eye on the chat. Our team will be adding in the KBs so that you can follow along and review those KB if you need additional information. We will also be, of course, recapping this in our meeting minutes for our newsletter. Thank you, Michaela. I don't see any questions regarding this topic, so we'll move forward. Hugo?
Good morning, everybody. The HMIS Help Desk has received an influx of tickets relating to CES referral errors, so we'd like to share some guidance to avoid these errors in the future. CES enrollment and exit data should not be modified unless the user has identified an error in the client's CES program. When users edit historic data, they may unintentionally prevent clients from appearing in CES reports. Agency administrators should reach out to the HMIS Help Desk if they need guidance to determine if a correction should be processed or if a new CS enrollment is needed if an error is spotted. Next slide, please. One of the most common errors users receive when referring clients to the community queue is in regards to the head of household. The head of household is the client within the household that must have a completed CS assessment to be sent to the community queue. In addition, the head of household must also be set as the head of household within the CS enrollment and not just as the head of household within the global household, as they don't always match up one-to-one. For veteran households, the veteran client should be set as the head of household for the household to be included in the veteran registry. When a referral has expired, the user can use the current assessment to send the referral back to the queue. New assessments should only be created if a client wishes to update their preferences. The head of household's latest assessment is what is used to send the referral to the queue. Next slide, please. So now we'll be moving on to adding households to the bed reservation community queue. In order for a household to be considered for any units to become available, the head of household must have the following: an active enrollment in individual coordinated entry system or family coordinated entry system project in HMIS, a homeless verification or chronically homeless verification form on file in HMIS, a completed current living situation assessment, a needs bed reservation assistance service entered by the access point in HMIS, and a completed bed reservation assessment. When all the criteria are met, the household will be considered for replacement when an opportunity becomes available. Next slide, please. Before you can add a household to the bed reservation and community queue, you must first ensure that the household is enrolled in either an ICS or FCS project. You can search for the head of household in HMIS and navigate to the client's history page. Click on the View drop-down button and change the type drop-down to Programs and click Search to narrow the client's history and project enrollments. The access point should review enrolling clients in a project knowledge base article for instructions on how to enroll a household in a CS project if they are not already in one. Next slide, please. The head of household needs to get homeless verification or a chronically homeless verification document uploaded to HMIS to be eligible for a shelter opening. Navigate to the head of household's files page to confirm whether or not this file has already been uploaded. If it has not been uploaded, click on Add File. You can change the category drop-down to Coordinated Entry Documentation and select the type of verification that has been received from the head of household. Select the location of the file on your computer and click on Save Changes. Next slide, please. A needs bed reservation assistance service is required for the household to be considered for units. Users should recognize that a new bed reservation service needs to be added every week the client wants to be considered for a unit. Navigate to the Provide Services tab under the household's CS enrollment. You can click on the caret next to the bed reservation waitlist service, and then click on the Needs Bed Reservation Assistance caret. The household will be considered for any units that become available only for the next 7 days following the event date, so it is important to note when the service is rendered. Next slide, please. The head of household must also have a completed bed reservation assessment and current living situation assessment in order to be considered for the bed reservation community queue. You can navigate to the head of household's assessment tab under their CS enrollment and click on Start next to OC Custom Individual Bed Reservation Assessment or OC Custom Family Bed Reservation Assessment, depending on whether the client is enrolled in an ICS or FCS project. Answer the assessment questions and click on the Save button. Under the same assessment tab, in their CS enrollment, you can also find the current living situation assessment. You can click Start there, answer the questions, and go on the Save button. Next slide, please. Once all the prerequisites have been met, the household can be added to the bed reservation community queue. To add the household to the community queue, you can click on the checkbox next to the completed bed reservation and click Refer directly to community queue. Users can also refer to the Adding Households to the Bed Reservation Community Queue knowledge base article for more detailed information. Next slide, please. And now we'll begin the demo. But just to reiterate, the steps to ensure that a household can be admitted to the community queue, they must be enrolled in either an ICS or FCS project, must have a homeless verification on file in HMIS, a current living situation assessment completed, a needs bed reservation service completed, and they also need to have a completed bed reservation assessment. If a household still needs bed reservation after 7 days, you must enter a new service under the head of households, CS enrollment with a new event date to keep the referral active. So now I will share my screen so we can go over a brief demonstration. Can everyone see my screen right now?
Yes.
Okay, thank you for that, Diana. So here we are under the training site, and right now I'm listed under the County of Orange because we are working with a CES program. So the first thing you'll need to do when you want to add a household to the bed reservation community queue is to ensure that the household has already been enrolled in either an ICS or FCS project. To do that, you can go under the Programs tab in their page and see if they're already enrolled in a project. For this demonstration, my client is enrolled in FCS because my client is enrolled with his sister. The following step would be to ensure that the client has either a homeless verification or chronically homeless verification document on file in HMIS. To do this, you can navigate to the Files tab and see whether the client has a file already on record. In this case, I have already added the file on record, but if a file has not already been added, you can navigate to Add File. Under the category, you would select Coordinated Entry Documentation, and under the predefined name, you can select Chronic Homeless Verification, and then you can add the file from wherever it is located on your computer. The next step would be to add a current living situation for the client. To do this, you can navigate to the Programs tab. And then within their CES enrollment, under Assessments, you can add a current living situation assessment. For this demonstration, I have already added one, so we won't have to go through that step at the moment. In addition to the current living situation assessment, you will also need to add a bed reservation service. This can be found under the Provide Services tab in the CS project. And you can see here it is under bed reservation waitlist in this caret and needs bed reservation assistance service. It is important to reiterate that this service is only valid for 7 days following the event date. After that point, if the client still wishes to be considered for housing, you will need to enter a new bed reservation assistance service. And finally, you will need to complete the bed reservation assessment under the Assessments tab. You can see OC Custom Family Bed Reservation Assessment for FCS. If this client was enrolled as an individual, it would be OC Custom Individual Bed Reservation Assessment. You can complete the assessment, and once it is done, you will see that it appears under Assessment History. Since this is the final step since this is the final prerequisite for a client to be considered for the bed reservation service, once everything is completed, you can see that a new icon appears next to the bed reservation assessment titled Eligibility. When you click on that, you will see their program eligibility determination. And from there, once everything has been met, you can click on the bed reservation toggle, and then you can refer the client directly to the community queue. And I think that is all for this slide. Thank you.
Thank you, Hugo, for going over that. So we're just going to take a quick pause to see if there's any question and just confirming if everyone can see the slides again.
Yes.
Thank you. So we do have a few questions in the chat, so we'll go ahead and review those questions. The first question is if a client is not allowed to return to a specific shelter, where do we document that when adding the bed reservation? So thank you for your question. When you're submitting the referral, there is a section to add notes to the referrals. So you can add notes in that section. We also encourage that you reach out to the CS lead to notify the CS leads about these updates. But adding a note to the referral and reaching out to the CS lead. And if we have any CS leads on the call, feel free to share if you would like to offer any additional guidance.
Hi, this is. Go ahead.
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
I'm not sure if Jocelyn is on this call or if Liz is on this call, but this is Elizabeth with the FCES. We keep track of that as the matchmaker. You can put a note in there that would be helpful. But for the FCS, we do keep track of that.
Thank you, Elizabeth. And thank you for your questions. We'll be documenting them and confirming with our CS leads their preference and their guidance to include in our meeting minutes. The other question we have is, how long are homeless self-verification and third-party verification valid for? Erin, if you're on the call, if you could support with that question. So for this question, our HMS team would like to further research this question and provide guidance for that. So we will follow up and provide that in a meeting, in the meeting minutes, and also bring up this topic again in the user meeting. But if we have any CS leads that would like to offer any guidance, feel free to share. So thank you for your question. We would like to look into this further and provide the accurate information regarding if there's any timeline or expiration for those verifications. So thank you for that question. We have another question. Can we please get clarification on the age of the sister? FSC is only for adult head of household with a minor child or family member under 0 or 17. So yes, for FSC families, yes, it is for families. So there needs to be at least one member that is a minor age as shared, either between the age of 0 to 17.
Elizabeth, I think we have one more question in the chat. Can you confirm what the prioritization of clients for shelter and housing?
Thank you, Diana. So prioritization depends on the length of homelessness and ensuring that the clients have the required document uploaded into their profile. So it's important to, depending on different projects, for housing opportunities such as PSH, it does require that the participant is chronically homeless, which means they've been homeless at least 1 year and have a disability. So those documentation is important to include into the profile as they're matched to opportunities. It is seeing if they're eligible for those programs. And thank you all for your questions. Feel free to, if you have any additional question, add that into chat. Any questions that we need to follow up on, we will include all these questions in our meeting minutes. Thank you. As of right now, I don't see any other questions coming in, so we'll move forward, but we do have time for Q&A if you have a question that comes up later on. Diana?
Okay, we're going to be going over managing household composition changes in CS. A household experiencing homelessness is enrolled into the coordinated entry system to be linked to housing services. In very rare cases, a household may be served by both individual and family coordinated entry system. Events that can result in a change to household composition may include, but are not limited to, clients that have become pregnant, a single adult merges households with another adult with child, or a child is permanently removed from household. There are 3 scenarios we will go over that will illustrate these changes in household composition. For more information on the topic, please refer to the KB. And I am putting this into the chat because this is a very dense sort of topic, and we want you to be empowered so you understand what to do. Next slide, please. So the first scenario we'll be going over is the household is active in a CS project and has changed household composition and has not been matched to a housing project. If a household has not been matched to a housing project, the access point should exit the CS enrollment. So in this case, the access point will be doing the exiting. And so if you're a housing provider, you won't be touching this particular enrollment. The access point will exit the CS enrollment. If the household is on the community queue, the access point will remove the household from the community queue and select reassessed as the reason for removal. Again, I want to emphasize the access point will remove the household from the community queue. After exiting, the access point will enroll the household into a new CS project, reassess, and add the household to the community queue, or connect the household to an appropriate subpopulation specific access point if necessary. Inform the CS administrators if assistance is needed with connecting the household to an appropriate access point. Next slide, please. The second scenario is if a household is active in the CS project and has changed the household composition and has been matched to a housing opportunity. If the household is accepted into a housing project, the household will remain enrolled in the CS project and exited by the housing provider once the household is placed into a housing unit. If the household is seeking bed reservation assistance while they wait for their permanent housing placement, the access point will follow the following steps. The access point will notify the CS administrator that the household has been enrolled into CS projects at the same time. The access point will add a note to the original referral to indicate the household will be seeking shelter under a separate CS. Enroll the household into the appropriate CS and complete the complete the bed reservation assessment. So in this slide, I definitely want to point out there are different actions being done by the housing provider and by the access point. Next slide, please. Scenario 3 is the household is active in the CS project and has changed in household composition and has been matched to a housing opportunity. If a household is denied the housing opportunity, the household will be exited from the CS project and removed from the community queue by the access point. After exiting, the access point will enroll the household into a new CS project, reassess, and then add the household to the community queue. Now, I know it's a little bit difficult to sort of visualize this. As I said, this topic is very dense, which is why we have the KB. I'm also putting in the chat a great flow chart, which we'll be going over shortly, that sort of gives you a sort of visual view of how to follow the workflow for CES. Elizabeth, can I share my screen, please? Okay, please bear with me while I get over there. Okay, you should be seeing the managing household composition changes in coordinated entry workflow. So I'm only going to highlight one of these workflows so it's sort of, easy for you to see what this looks like. So does the head of household have an active CS enrollment? The answer is yes. Has the head of household been matched to a permanent supportive housing project? The answer is no. In this case, is the head of household on the community queue? No. At this point, exit the head of household and all of the household members from the CS project. Next, enroll the head of household and all of the household members into CES with their new household composition and complete the CES assessment. At this point, the household will be served through the CES project. So as I said, this is a great sort of tool to have bookmarked or saved on your computer. So it's easy to see where you need to go in different scenarios with CES. As I said, it's a very complex sort of system. And obviously from this flow chart, you can see it branches in many different directions. So it's important to sort of follow this workflow, and if you're unsure, to refer to this so you understand what's the next step in the process. Let me go ahead and stop sharing and hand things over to Elizabeth.
Thank you, Diana. Diana, can you confirm you see the PowerPoint again?
Yes.
Thank you. And thank you, Diana, for going over the flow chart. Please feel free to reach out to the HMIS Help Desk if you have questions and would like to receive some guidance. We can further discuss the appropriate pathway, whether the client and household need to remain in the enrollment and be exited later on, or to be exited and enrolled into a new CS enrollment. So please do feel free to reach out. We will provide support and review and discuss further in changes in household composition and provide support to you. So we wanted to let you, our community, know that there has been an update to the HMS user account form. The update is that there would be a pop-up question for those users who have read-only access. If your responsibility at your agency requires participation in the CS match meeting, read-only access staff would be able to participate, and the agency admin can indicate that by saying yes, they need to participate in the CS match meeting. In addition to the HMS Part 1 training, the read-only access user will also need to participate in the CS training to be able to participate in the match meeting. So we have a question in the chat. I'm currently taking on HMS and CS at my agency. Would you mind letting me know which role the housing authority who provides current housing plays so I know what I need to do whenever there's a change? So for housing authority, your role would be the housing provider. So in the scenario of if there's changes to household composition, it would just be exiting the participant once they're matched and accepted into your program, housing program. Thank you for your question. We also wanted to provide an update regarding the recertification deadline. There are still a few users who are still pending completing the HMS Part 2 recertification. We wanted to let you all know that the users have 60 days from lockout, so the due date is March 22nd. After March 22nd, any users that have not completed the HMS Part 2 certification would be considered inactive and will have to retake the HMS Part 1 and Part 2 online course, as well as the HMS skill test to reactivate their HMS account. The HMS agency administrator will need to notify the HMS help desk so that we can reset the HMS Part 1 and Part 2 training for the user. We also wanted to note that the HMS help desk has reached out to agencies that still have pending users so that you have the list of those users to work and provide support to your team. So we had a question if there's a report we can run to see staff who needs to complete the recertification. So the HMS Help Desk has already sent out those spreadsheets. So if your agency didn't receive a spreadsheet, then that means you don't have any users that are pending recertification. But if you have any questions, please feel free, agency administrator, please submit a ticket to the HMS Help Desk and we can further discuss. Thank you for your question. I don't see any other question for this topic, so we'll move forward. Michaela?
Hello, everyone. So we wanted to go over when to conduct a status assessment. So we should conduct status assessments when any of the following change, such as the client disability status, income sources or amounts, the household composition, meaning someone leaves or joins the household in the project. You can add as many status assessments as needed to account for each change in information. Status assessment should be completed as of the day the client's information changes. We do have 2 KB articles to reference below, status and annual assessments, and annual assessments due reports. Next slide, please. Here we have our annual assessments. HUD requires that clients who have been enrolled in a program for over a year be given an annual assessment. Annual assessments are meant to capture certain data points and are to be collected based on the project start date of the head of household. For individual enrollments, conduct an annual assessment within the 30-day window before or after the client's 1-year anniversary of their program start date, if they are still active as of 1 year from their start date. For example, if a client enters your project on January 1st of 2023, and they are still active as of January 1st, 2024, then you should complete an annual assessment no earlier than December 2nd, 2023, and no later than January 31st. For group and family enrollments, every member will have their annual assessment conducted based off of the head of household's project start date, if the members are still active as of 1 year after their start date. Next slide, please. Here we have our annual assessments due report. It will give you a list of clients who need an annual assessment completed. The report would only return clients who need an annual assessment fix of some kind, whether they need a new annual assessment created or an annual assessment that falls out of the HMIS and HUD required annual assessment range. The report will assign the following error message to each row. If you look here on the annual assessment status, we have a few different options here. For the past due, that is the client's annual assessment window that has passed. For due, that is the client's annual assessment window that is now. And for completed out of range, that's the client's annual assessment that was completed outside of the 30 days prior or the 30-day after window and the head of household's project start date. HUD reports will consider the annual assessment as missing because it fell outside of the required range.
Thank you, Michaela, for sharing the report. And we also want to let the agency admin know that the agency admins do receive this report on the first of each month. You can also access the report. Users can also access the reports by following the pathway listed on the slide, which is going to reports, data analysis, expanding the Orange County system report folder, Orange Clarity System report folder, and clicking on annual assessment due report to run the report for your agency. Something we also wanted to highlight the status of project start. Project start before head of household start date. This is important as this is an error. This is indicating that this household member project start is before the head of household. So the head of household started in March and this member started in February. So that's something to look out for data errors to correct. Thank you, Michaela, for going over that. I don't see a question for annual assessment, so we'll go ahead and move forward for right now.
Then we have our project performance reports. The project performance reports for homeless prevention will be published in the OC HMIS website in the upcoming weeks. Current and past PPRs can be found on our Orange County website. Following the trail here to our Orange County website to reports and then our project performance reports. Permanent supportive housing and other permanent supportive housing PPR drafts will be uploaded into the Dropbox within the first week of March. The project performance overview is a helpful document which provides important information regarding the PPRs, including the threshold of each goal in our publishing schedule. The quarterly data and performance management meeting is scheduled to resume Wednesday, May 8th at 10 a.m.
Thank you, Michaela. And I see a question in the chat. Where would one document a change in household composition on the status assessment? I believe that's the question. So the assessments are HUD assessments, so we don't have the ability to make changes to those questions, but it is on a status or annual basis. We're asking, HUD is asking our partner agencies to submit status changes to income and disability, and changes to household composition would occur when exiting clients and reviewing the changes on the right-hand side of the different timeline members are participating in that program. Thank you for your question. And we wanted to just to provide a friendly reminder that the HMS website includes posts about upcoming community training and resources. So we wanted to encourage our community to visit our website to review some of the posts that we post if you're not already included in those newsletters from HUD and other partners. We do post updates, such as we have some there are some materials available on the HUD Exchange, and these are some trainings and meetings that are coming up, and we wanted to highlight to encourage our community to participate if appropriate. So we want to thank you all for joining us. If you join us a little bit later on in the meeting, please do enter your agency name into the chat box for attendance. We have some time for Q&A. Please feel free to add your questions into the chat or unmute yourself if you have a question related to topics we cover in this meeting.
Hi, Elizabeth. Can we look at the very beginning slides regarding the project performance between Orange County and the rest of the states? There's one slide, I just had a quick question on it. I don't really want to go deep into it. I just had a really quick question. It's the one about how...
Is it this slide?
Yes. So returns to homelessness has a green check, but then in the next slide where it shows how returns to homelessness are increasing, I'm not really understanding how we are, unless, of course, the rest of the United States is, their return to homelessness is way worse.
And I think you're talking about this slide, correct?
Correct. So in 2023, we went up almost 100 families, but I see that we're leading the United States in returns to homelessness. I'm just wondering how that, I don't really get it. If we're increasing.
Yeah, thank you for your question. So for this, the comparison is to 2024, as we don't have data for 2023 just yet. If we're for the system performance, we just recently submitted for 2023, so we only have our 2023 data. We don't have California and the state yet. So just to keep that in mind, each year we would just review compared to California and the state previous year's report.
Okay, so this is not compared to the rest of the United States?
This comparison right here, we're showing is comparing 2022 data. And the chart that we have for this, again, we're comparing, sorry, let me go back. We're comparing 2022. This is this year's submission, but for California and the states, we don't have that data yet as it was just submitted.
Got it. Okay. And then this where it says most of these returns are clients exited from emergency shelters. Oh, okay. Emergency shelter 381. I got it. Okay. Thank you so much for explaining that.
Yes, thank you for your question. If, as I mentioned, we do have the report published on our website, please do take a deeper dive. If there's any additional questions and you would like to further discuss, please submit a HMS Help Desk ticket and we can further discuss.
Elizabeth, I'm sorry. I don't know if you posted the site there to look at this report. Can you post that again if you haven't done that?
Yes, Diana, could you grab that link again?
Thank you so much.
Thank you. And you'll see in the report, we do highlight in an orange box the comparison between California and let me go ahead and stop sharing so I can grab that report. Thank you for your patience. So this is the system performance report. It will be looking over from 2019 to 2023. We did leave a little key here to let you, the viewers know that anywhere you see the orange box, it's going to be comparing our Orange County data to California and the United States, but only in 2022, the previous year. So every year we only receive California and the United States data a year prior, as the submission is still currently open, so we don't have 2023 data yet. But as you'll see in the report, there's going to be orange boxes that compare our data, our average to California's average and the United States average. So something to keep in mind as you're reviewing this report. I don't believe I see any other questions coming in. So we just want to thank you all for joining us today. Have a great day, and we'll see you at our next user meeting April 3rd. For those who don't want to participate in office hours, feel free to hop off, but we'll be getting started with office hours.